Hey, well, kia ora, good morning everybody, and welcome to the beautiful Wairarapa. Can I just say it's fantastic to be joined by our awesome local Wairarapa MP, Mike Butterick. I can tell you he is tirelessly advocating for this community, and he's been tirelessly advocating for these speed limits to be lifted up again as well. So well done, Mike. Great advocacy and great championing of your community. Well done. Also good to be with our newly minted Transport Minister, Chris Bishop, who is driving economic growth through making sure that we've got modern, reliable infrastructure across the country, but also importantly making sure our transport network is getting better and better all the time. This government, as you know, is absolutely focused on growing New Zealand's economy. Job number one, as I keep saying, is growth, growth, growth. And growing our economy is absolutely essential because that's how we get to improve the lives of Kiwis up and down the country. It's actually essential to helping us get our local businesses growing strongly and creating jobs and opportunities. And it's essential for lifting incomes and creating more choices and more opportunities for New Zealanders. And when our economy grows, we have a lot more opportunities to get ahead, and we actually all want New Zealand to be a much wealthier country going forward. But economic growth also requires people to get from A to B as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And we certainly need to speed up produce getting to shops, we need to speed up export goods getting to ports, parcels getting delivered, and of course workers having shorter commuting times so they can get home to their families and spend more time at home with their families. I've got to tell you, the previous government was great at saying no and slowing everything down across this country and across our economy. We are a government of action, and as I keep saying, we're a government of common sense. We're saying a lot less no and a lot more yes, and that's what this is actually about. So we're really pleased that we are literally accelerating New Zealand's economic growth with this announcement today. And with that in mind, I'll get Chris Bishop to say a few more words.
I'll swap over.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I want to acknowledge Mike, great hard-working local MP. We campaigned on reversing Labour's blanket speed limit reductions around the country, and in government we are getting on with it. It would be great if I could claim credit for this, but I want to acknowledge the hard work of Simeon Brown as the former Transport Minister up until a few days ago. Last September he signed off a new rule, which is the Land Transport Rule Setting of Speed Limits 2024. The rule requires NZTA and local councils to reverse all speed limits lowered since January 2020 on several categories of roads back up to their previous limits by the 1st of July 2025. Now here in the Wairarapa, as I think everyone watching will know, there was massive community opposition to the speed limit reductions going down from 100 to 80 on long stretches of road. Kieran McAnulty, who was the local MP at the time and actually the Associate Transport Minister, said it couldn't be done. He said he talked to NZTA and it couldn't be done, and it wasn't happening, even though he was a minister in the government and an Associate Transport Minister. He just shrugged and accepted it. That's all the news, they're very excited.
Yeah.
So this is an example of how when you cut through the red tape and you cut through the bureaucratic morass, you can get things done. We have set a new rule. The speed limit here in the Wairarapa will go back up to 100 overnight, and in 37 other sections of state highways around the country they will take place and reverse back to what they were by the 1st of July this year. We are also consulting on a further 49 sections of state highway so that local communities can have their say on either keeping their current lower speed limit or returning to their previous higher speed. The consultation on those 49 sections of the state highway network starts tomorrow, will run for 6 weeks. In terms of local road changes, which people may be interested in, councils have got until the 1st of May 2025 to advise NZTA of their of the specified roads subject to reversal under the rule that we have signed off. And it's important to note that that rule requires variable speed limits outside schools during pick-up and drop-off times, which again was a campaign commitment, prioritising the safety of Kiwi kids. But today is all about reversing the blanket and untargeted speed limit reductions that we endured under the previous government. We said we would take action. We are delivering on that. It's a great day, and it's a great day for New Zealand. Thank you.
Great, well thank you Chris, and with that, have you taken any questions? You may have.
Sorry, could you explain the process of how you chose those 38 roads to automatically change over?
Yeah, so it gets technical and complicated, but there are basically 4 categories of roads which the rule required NZTA to go back and reverse. And they went through a process over the last year or so. That's why it's taken a few months, to be honest, to go through that process and work out the categories of roads and what falls in and what doesn't. So the 38 that are happening, Wairarapa is starting tonight, but over the next few weeks and months, as NZTA does the changes, they are essentially easy, like this, sections of long, straight, flat state highways, which can be done. The other 49 that we are consulting on, there will be some differing community views around those, and there's an opportunity for the community to have their say. And it may be that there are small sections of those state highways where the level stays the same, but the default goes back up. So that's why we're consulting on those further 49.
The coalition obviously you're reversing where it's safe to do so. So was safety taken into account during that process?
Yes, and it is safe to do these changes.
Yeah, so what are some of your concerns about potential increase in injuries or deaths as a result of these changes?
The number one factor driving deaths on our roads is drugs and alcohol. And that is why this government is doing a number of things. It's a real focus of our road safety plan. Firstly, we're passing the drug driving legislation. In fact, we had the second reading of that bill last night. That will introduce roadside saliva-based drug testing. Other jurisdictions have it and have had it for a very long time. We do not. The last government had an attempt at introducing it. They failed. They passed a piece of legislation for which there were no commercially available drug tests. We've now fixed that up. That will pass in the next few weeks, and we are funding 50,000, up to 50,000 saliva drug tests to be delivered by the police out there, each and every year. That will be really important because 30% of deaths on our roads over the last 3-year period can be attributed to drugs. So that plus alcohol is the major driver. We are also investing really heavily in breath testing, which has been around for 30 years or so. People are very familiar with. Bit of a sad story, really. Actually, over the last 10 years, the previous government really took their eye off the ball. Some years we delivered half of what the police are actually funded to deliver. We have increased the money going into the police to deliver breath testing. 3.3 million breath tests they are funded for, going really well, and people watching may have actually noticed a pick-up in breath tests around the country. The reason for that is because we put more money in, and that is designed to send a message that don't drink and drive. Alcohol and drugs are the major cause of death on our roads, and that's why we're taking action on it. Safety is really important as well in terms of the construction of the state highway network, better roads, so we're investing in that as well. It's not to say that speed isn't important, it is important, and that's why we're doing it and putting the speed limits back up where it is safe to do so.
So can you guarantee that none of these roads will be less safe as a result of the speed limit?
Well, every death on our roads and every serious injury on our roads is a tragedy, and we want to continue to drive the road toll down. That's why we're investing in roadside drug testing. That's why we're investing in heavily in breath testing. That's why we're investing so much in upgrading our state highway networks and our rural roads around the country, because there's a lot of factors that go into it, and we've just got to pull every lever we can, and that's what we're doing.
Were there any other concerns that came up in the consultation process other than safety?
Well, I mean, there are a variety of views out there amongst some communities around some of the roads, and that's why you have to take a pragmatic approach. So on a section like this, the reason why there's so much community hostility to the Wairarapa is people say, well, hang on a minute, might want to talk to it. I mean, this is a long section of state highway, and people pull along there at 80 and go, this is crazy. Why can't I drive at 100? And it creates enormous community angst. And unsurprisingly, might want to talk about the local impacts of what this means.
Yeah, it's huge, and I'm not going to leave it, but they probably own the circa 80% plus of their freight's carried on their road, and time is money. And it's just really frustrating for people who are trying to keep their businesses going, and ultimately the customer pays the bill. So,
Are these changes going to have economic benefits for the wider community?
absolutely.
Can we talk a bit about speed? In the regulatory impact statement that was given to then Transport Minister Simeon Brown, it said that for every 1% of an increase in the mean speed, it increases the fatal crash risk by 4%. How much of a factor was that analysis taken into the decision to increase these limits?
Well, safety is very important, and that's why we've always said we're putting the speed limits back up where it is safe to do so, and we stand by that. And clearly, speed is a factor when it comes to road safety, but the biggest driver in death and serious injuries on our roads is drugs and alcohol, and that's why we're putting such an investment into the things that really make a difference. This is evidence-based policy, and that's really important.
Can you explain why it's taken so long to get to this point?
As I have discovered in the last 3 days in my role as Transport Minister, transport rules are complicated and technical, and we've gone through a process to set that rule. There was a bunch of consultation last year. We've gone as quick, I think it'd be fair to say, Simeon and now me, we've gone as quickly as humanly possible to make this a reality. Wairarapa is happening overnight. There'll be people out there who say, can't you just come in and do it on day one? Well, that's not actually the way government works. Not everything can happen straight away, but we've moved as quickly as possible. And look, the point is we've delivered. Kieran McAnulty was the Associate Transport Minister who said it couldn't be done. He just forgot to ask the officials the right questions. We've sorted it out. He failed, we've delivered.
Did NZTA push back on anything?
I haven't been the Transport Minister, but no, NZTA has worked really hard to make sure that we can deliver on this, and we've set the speed limit in place. And at the end of the day, it's the government that makes these decisions, or the government that directs these decisions, and that's what we've done.
If you saw a substantial increase in injuries and deaths on any of these roads that would change it, would you be open to reviewing them again?
Well, you always adjust your positions as the evidence changes, but we are clear that this will not come at the expense of safety, and the things that make a difference in terms of the road toll, we are investing in. Safer roads, better infrastructure on our roads, and roadside drug testing and an increase in breath testing. Those are the things that make a difference, and that's what we are investing in. The approach of the last government was to have a near obsession with speed limits as a proxy for safety. Speed is a factor, but the biggest factor is the things that we are investing in and making a difference on, which is drugs and alcohol.
Do you know
Why
how
do you
much?
think
Well, what happened is Michael Wood passed a rule that required them to do it. So NZTA is like any government agency, it's in fact like any New Zealander, they've got to follow the law. The law said the speed had to go down, so they did it. We've changed the rule. That's what Kieran McAnulty as Associate Transport Minister didn't do, or didn't want to do, or just pretended he couldn't do, or whatever. He didn't do it, we've done it. We've changed the rule, and the rule requires the speed limit to go back up. So that's what's happening. Well, we've required the rule, that the rule requires NZTA on a specified category of roads to go back to what the speed limit was pre 1st of January 2020, and they have gone and done that. And there's a further 49 where there is mixed community views, and there's some, there'll be potentially some sections of some of those roads where the speed limit stays where it is on safety grounds, but the rest of it might go back up. We'll just work our way through that over the next few months, and there'll be announcements about that in due course.
You talked about how the lower slope speed limits you say are slowing Kiwis down. Obviously, a part of that is police issuing speeding tickets, etc. Would you like to see the police slightly relax its attitude to handing out speeding tickets?
No, I want to see the police enforce the speed limits that we have, and that's a really important thing, and that's over to them to do. We don't get involved in operational decisions around that. That is ultimately to them, and they're doing a great job, really stepping up. We've set them performance. Again, we've made a whole lot of changes in this area. Well, I say Simeon Brown made a whole lot of changes in this area. We've set performance targets, for example, when it comes to breath testing and a variety of the other safety measures that the police take. Some of those have never been done before, and we're seeing the police really step up. They've had a real focus on breath testing over the last year or so, which is really good to see, because as I say, there were some years over the last decade or so, particularly under the previous government, where they just really took their eye off the ball, and they didn't deliver the breath tests they were funded for, which is crazy when you think about it.
What do you think will be Kieran McAnulty's reaction to today's announcement?
I think publicly he will probably have a swing at us, because I had a swing at him, so fair enough, but privately he'll be very happy about it.
Do you
Last
know,
couple guys.
Do you know how much journey times will reduce as a result of this change?
Yeah, about three. I'm advised about 3 minutes on average across State Highway 2 in the Wairarapa. But you just like that. You just do the math on that, right? That's 3 minutes per vehicle per journey. Extrapolate that over around 10,000 vehicle movements per day from memory on these sections of State Highway. Around 80% of freight coming to and from. And this is a great agricultural producing area. Just do the math on that. It all adds up. That is productivity and growth. And as the PM said, that's what this government's all about.
As you've been saying, this was Simeon Brown's project. Is he disappointed not to be making this announcement today?
He's very focused on his new portfolio, but he's been a key instrument and a great leader actually in driving this initiative, and that's why I want to make sure he gets credit for it, because he's shown great leadership of Ministry of Transport, and that's why we want him now focused on the Ministry of Health.
Just back on safety, what experts did you consult with prior to making the decision to increase the speed limits on these 38 roads?
NZTA will have gone through NZTA are ultimately responsible for that. I haven't consulted experts around it. That's not what ministers do. We campaigned on reversing the speed limit reductions done by the previous government. In fact, all three coalition parties did. We have moved as quickly as possible to do that, and we're doing it.
Okay, thanks team.
Thanks.
Have a good day. Well done, mate.